Welcome to another episode of Chicago Cubs and Chicago White Sox Central, Chicago Baseball Central. Hey, it's your boy Big Bro, and you also got Pacman in the building, the resident Cubs fan. I'm the weirdo. I root for both teams, except for when they playing each other. Then I root for the White Sox. You
I
did.
watch baseball, so I know I'll be hating on the Sox, but I watch them both. So
Yeah, man. Oh, man. So we can start with the Cubs. We want the good news or the bad news first. You know what I'm saying? Like, what we gonna go with?
I think we should set the tone with the good news, man. We should set the tone with the good news, and
Yeah,
then with the bad news.
well, good news. The White Sox definitely salvaged the split against the World Champion Houston Astros. They're now 2-2 after today's 6-3 win. Kind of feels like they could be at least 3-1 based on those last two games. They had their opportunities to be they lost late games, but we're not gonna dwell on that. But today the White Sox got a much needed win. I know it's early in the season, but it got to feel good to at least walk away even with the World Champions. What you think, Pac-Man?
Yeah, it does feel good, but it's a lot of kinks in there that they need to look at. And one of the things that I highlighted in preseason, and people was giving me the side about Yohan Moncada. I
Mm-hmm.
said he's going to be the engine for the Sox this year to be where they need to be a championship caliber team. And if he wasn't performing like the 2019 Yohan Moncada, they have no chance. And he put a hole. When I say a hole in the Astros this entire series,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't. Man, listen.
So you're talking about Yohan Moncada. He's 444 for the series and for the season, obviously. And today he added to what he's already been doing a great job of. He had a double to right field. He also walked. He had another double. He struck out, but then he hit a nice homer in the ninth inning to kind of add that last little insurance run that the White Sox kind of needed to breathe easy. They had another double-digit hit game with 13, but tonight they were able to get double-digit hits and win the game.
Yeah, one of the keys about the White Sox is they always been up there with the best hitters, probably within the top five. Last season they was at 256. We placed them at probably like fourth, around the fourth best hitting team. But batting average don't tell an entire story. One of the bugaboos is driving in runs when it mattered, or when you want to pile on teams. And on one thing I was pointing out, in this series, the four games they 0 for 5 with the bases loaded. They can't live and die on the power game. We saw that happen to the Cubs a couple of years ago when they couldn't drive in the runs with the bases loaded or drive in with the runners on third base. They was trying to like really drive them in with home runs or deep shot doubles. I think they need to prioritize contact a little bit more. Even though Oscar Colas, I think he needed a little bit more season in the minor leagues. I told somebody I will reserve all my criticism to about May, maybe mid-May, end of May on them. That's when May, June was when you really get a good idea on players. But he came up with the bases loaded and could have made a statement, but he prioritized power over contact, and he ended up striking out on the same pitch, swinging all three through them. So I think on one of the bugaboos for the White Sox, they need to slow down, be able to take their pitches and drive their pitches instead of just trying to do damage on every pitch they see.
I agree with you. And right before that, Tim Anderson did the same thing. He struck out by trying to go for the big shot instead of, taking care of business. So
Exactly. Well,
um,
for Tim
or
Anderson,
was that Luis Robert? Was it Robert that struck out in
that
that
was right.
bases loaded? So yeah, because Anderson got on base.
Yes.
Robinson was the one who struck out when he could have been trying to just get contact. And he can take notes from Velasquez from the other side because, oh boy, he was hitting home runs, he was hitting doubles, he was hitting balls off the wall. Whatever he could do to get on base when runners were in scoring position, he was doing it. So Luis
Exactly.
Robert could take some notes from my guy.
Yeah, you're exactly right about that. But I like his approach. Today's game is pretty much like he was playing himself. He was actually going out there and just say, "Hey, I'm going to be aggressive on the ball." You see, he hit a double and also got a home run himself. He did strike out in key moments and everything like that. But you kind of seeing different versions of him at bat where he can actually go up there and put together a really good approach and help this team. And then sometimes you're a detriment from where you placed in the batting order.
Well, speaking of detriments in the batting order, our designated hitter struck out swinging, grounded to shortstop, flied out to left, and struck out looking. for another 0 for 5 game. That's his second 0 for 5 game in 4 games this season. Eloy Jimenez got a lot of work to do, or he's starting to look like Kyle Schwarber used to look for the Cubs.
Yeah, I want to tag him as probably one of the slow starters, and also he actually had Jose Abreu old slot hole in the lineup at the fourth spot. So there could be some ghost of White Sox past that's kind of haunting him a little bit, being the main run producer. I think he should be hitting that 3. Even though they Grifol want to balance the lineup and put Benintendi at 3. But I really think he should be hitting that 3. That's where he thrives at. That's where he feasted at last year when he actually came back healthy. But in a 4, just it's a whole different dynamic, whole different mentality at that plate, especially with pace of play coming into play, that you have to think as a hitter driving in those runs or being your big run producer. I want to attribute that to being a slow start for him versus it's anything we need to be concerned. Now, if we get into mid-April and he hitting 175 and he struck out 25 times, then it's just like, okay, now we need to talk about some stuff.
Facts. And the rest of the lineup did okay. Andrew Vaughn went 2 for 4, Grandal went 3 for 4, and Colas went 2 for 5. We already talked about him. But Elvis Andrews, another bad offensive night for him at least. 0 for 4 from at bat in 125 so far this season. But now Matt Clevenger, he had a strong 5 innings, only giving up 3 hits, walking 3, but striking out 8 to hold down Houston. Like Houston didn't start doing much until the 6th inning when they finally scored, and then they put up 2 runs in the 9th. But by that point, the game was pretty much out of reach.
Yeah, that's that. White Sox hater and me. This is one of the signings I didn't really like. I think the Sox should have really got a left-handed starter. They should have been focusing on somebody like Andrew Heaney to kind of balance out that lineup of all right-handed hitters over Mike Clevenger, and also thinking that he would come into the season with the distraction and not put together his best baseball. He was a little bit iffy on the command when he got a little bit deeper into the game in the 4th inning. But when he was that 1 through 3, he was actually lights out, man. The fastball was hitting 96, 98. He had a good slider working. He was throwing in a change. He wasn't really knocking them off balance. Because the Astros did drive his pitch count up because he had about like 91 pitches by the 5th inning.
He ended up with like 100.
Yeah, and you don't want a pitcher like going through 5 innings, laboring through there, because that means they fighting off a lot of tough pitches. You biting too much of the zone with your pitches, but right now in the pace of play, you cannot pretty much expand the zone like you want to. You got to attack. Because the batter's already in a box set up. So that's one of the things I love. I want to just really get a real good feel of with the pace of play, the mentality on the pitcher side. I already know. I want to hear a hitter seeing like how they approach the game because of pace of play now.
Facts, because it's kind of like, I don't know, like rock paper scissors now. Like you can guess quicker than it does when you can stand back there for 45 seconds, stretch, look, play with the rocks and whatever. Like now you gotta get in there, get to work on both sides. So like the guessing game is way quicker than it used to be. So I'm excited to see how that's gonna go as the season progresses. All right, so the bullpen came in and took care of business, giving up 2 late runs, later on. But it is what it is. It's baseball. Overall, good win for the White Sox today to walk away from Houston 2-2, and then I think they start their home openers tomorrow versus San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, this is a good series for the Cubs. I mean, not the Cubs, but the White Sox to have a home opener against, because San Francisco just coming off a really tough opponent with the Yankees, and they barely. I think they only scored 1 run this weekend. So man, this is gonna be something home opener against the Giants. Giants are banged up. Giants also, I think they just lost somebody in their rotation too. So I think this is a good matchup for the Sox to continue to start a win streak and get them the momentum they need going into like the mid part of the season. And I tell people like all wins matter, so you can't play the 2021 Sox game, lose games against teams that don't really matter. So they need to come in with the Giants, take advantage of the Giants and where they at out now, where they at mentally where they at, and just knock them off the board.
Absolutely. It's early enough in the season to try to get it some momentum and pile up wins so that when you inevitably run into some rough patches, it's not really hurting your overall standings. All right, so
Exactly.
we're gonna move and good job, Pacman. Good to have you back. So we're gonna move over to the Cubs. Man, they played their division rivals, the Milwaukee Brewers. This was the rubber match. They played a game, took a day off, played another game, and then they came into today trying to see who's gonna walk away with a winning record and who's going to walk away with a losing record. Unfortunately, the Chicago Cubs fell to the Brewers at home on a Sunday afternoon, so I know Wrigleyville was kind of salty. 9-5. Uh, let's talk about the Cubs, man. How'd it go?
Man, you don't, especially open the season beating Corbin Burns. You wanted to have that momentum to take the series 2-1 or take a sweep. I'm thinking right now that the Cubs beat themselves this series. It was a lot of questionable managing decisions, and a couple of things make me think about roster constructions as I'm watching the game. Yesterday, one of the games where they lost because they put Mastroboni into right field, and he only had one career appearance in right field, and that was game one this year against the Brewers, which he didn't really get too many balls hit his way. And this is what matters. And I know Sox fans probably look at this and say, we totally understand what you're talking about because we had Vaughn and Gavin Sheets playing right fields for a full season. I look at the roster construction on this and the decision to carry so many infielders, and it's no need to. It's like, you had like Nelson Velasquez that was on your team for a bulk of last year that played right field, and he a pretty solid fielder in his own right. You had Rafael Morel, not Rafael, his name is Chris Morel. His brother's name Rafael. Chris Morel, who played all outfield spots, but you ended up deciding to send him down. And then you had Ben DeLuzo, who's a defensive specialist. A guy that you'll love to have as a fifth outfielder, if for his defense, because he can play all over the field and play great defense. But you decide to bring up a utility player that never played outfield. He only
Mm-hmm.
played first, second, shortstop, and third base. It's not like he was down there. He logged 200 innings in right field in AAA. He never played that position before, and you utilizing him just to keep Madrigal on your roster, him as a super utility, and then you also want Edwin Rios, who's a first and a third baseman. That's too many infielders that you need. You need a fourth outfielder, and honestly, the Cubs. I'm keep saying thinking about the White Sox and
No, I
Cubs.
get it.
Yeah. It's honestly, it says the Cubs have only two outfielders on their roster right now because it looked like they just stripped Mancini of not even playing outfield, and he a career outfielder.
Okay. So, to today's game, it looked like the Cubs were competing through the fifth inning. It was only 3-2. Of course, I was doing double duty, quadruple duty, watching the White Sox, the Cubs, the NCAA Women's Championship, and the Bulls game.
I
And
was too. That's
my
awesome.
me and the guys do the Shot Bulls podcast and do the live calls, and I'm thinking about doing the Chicago White Sox live call tomorrow. Um, for their season opener, for their home opener. But it was 3-2 going into the sixth inning, and then the Milwaukee exploded for 5 runs. And Swanson, he got another hit today. Horner, even though I know he started slow, he got 2 hits today. Wisdom with a huge two home runs, but they were both solo home runs, so like that's tough. And then Tylen, is that how you say his name, or Tyone?
Talon. Yeah, Talon.
So Talon, he had a decent outing, but didn't strike out much, didn't walk much, just tried to control the game, but gave up 3 runs and 7 hits. And then you had Merriweather come in and just give up 5 hits and 5 runs, walk 2, and his ERA is early this season, but it's 67.5. The one takeaway that I can say about this game, besides Swanson continuing his hot streak, at least getting a hit and keeping his hit streak going, is that the Cubs were able to eke out 9 runs. So that's telling. At least they can put the offense together. And most times when you score 9 runs, you're going to win the game.
The way they scored 5 runs. They
Uh,
yeah,
my
and
bad,
Brewers
my bad.
scored.
My bad. 5 runs.
Yeah.
They lost 9-5, but they scored 5 runs, and that's not bad. They had 9 hits, they had an error, but they scored 5 runs. So shout out to the Cubs for being able to put runs on the board. But it looked like the Brewers just took off in them in the sixth inning.
Yeah, they actually did. One of the biggest things is Bryce Terang had our number today. You know, he had the big two doubles on talent. He got the walk. Then Gary Mitchell, who had our number all weekend, hit the triple. And the triple happens because Patrick Wisdom, a third baseman who was playing right field, was out of position. Like, you know, you was shifted. I don't even know what was the defensive alignment you was told, but you shifted too far to center field, and you exposed so much of this right field corner. And Gary Mitchell, a left-handed hitter, just drove it down there. And now you got to run this ball down, you know, and try and get it back to the infield, and you're not like full speed running because now you got to pay attention. So that's why I'll say one of the things that makes me think about little roster construction, and and the bad choices David Ross have been making over the series is just like, I hope you just, or these just not mistakes, but these are just trying to test the waters and see how we can compete, because they
Yep.
need to understand when we in the division. I don't care if we like playing like a bomb team, like that's what's a bomb team, because all these teams got really
Pitt,
good, like the
Pittsburgh.
Marlins.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, like just like we playing the Marlins and you want to just let me see how this matchup work. All right, I'll take that, and it doesn't work. I'll take that. Now we in a division rival starting the season. These games gonna matter, because if you make a run and you neck and neck with the Brewers at the end of the season, these early games gonna matter. One on home
Mm-hmm.
field advantage, and also percentage wise, if they have the same record, they're gonna automatically get in because they don't beat us. So I just think a lot of the things is just boiled down to the management of the game, the decisions they're making of David Ross that cost us the loss today and the loss yesterday.
Okay, so there you have it. The Cubs lose. White Sox get the win. That's the end of the first series for both teams to start the season. So give me your player of the series for the Cubs, and then I'll do the same, and then we can do the player of the series for the White Sox.
For the Cubs, it's obvious. It's
Mm-hmm.
Swanson.
Yeah.
Swanson came in and did his job. He done collected, 7 hits, and he's batting a little bit over 400 right now. He's showing, like, man, he put the Cubs on his back yesterday game. Like he had three. He went 3 for 4. He had all the RBIs. He went up there, took walks late in the game to show him, like, hey, I'm here to compete to the very last at bat. He did it today. And also, one thing I wanted to point out, what the Cubs are doing this year is something they supposedly got away from, and that's the ground ball. They hit the 2 double plays today. Swanson grounded out to end the game today. Uh, I need them to put the ball in the air a little bit more. What they've been doing this series, and they haven't really been doing it. It's, you see the line drives there, but you getting pop ups in the infields for outs. Looking at strikeouts and then grounding out for double plays to get them out of inning and killing rallies and stuff like that.
Okay. I'm right there with you. I don't have to repeat anything. The series for the Chicago Cubs, and over on the White Sox side, I'm going with Luis Robert. My man Luis Robert not only brought it offensively, in 2 or 3 out of the 4 games, but defensively, he's been playing center field like a Gold Glover. So I'm definitely giving him. Even today, he had a player running toward him. The left fielder was running toward him, and he slid and caught it on the warning track right in front of the guy. He
Yeah.
had 2 great catches yesterday as well. So shout out to Luis Robert, my player of the series for the White Sox.
Well, I'm a different on a player for the series for the White Sox. It's Yan Makata. He
Mm-hmm.
played. He had some pretty strong defensive plays in game one, or it was game two that kept him close. That could have got him. I think it was game two. He had some really strong defensive plays in game two when they won to keep the Astros from taking down game two as well. And his bat just, oh man, his
Yeah.
bat almost finna put him as player of the week. I got to look around the league and see if anybody was going crazy. I know Trout and Altani just went back to back, so they probably give it to them because MLB love them guys. But Young Mokata may win player of the week.
Yeah, today he went 3 for 4, and he also had a double. He walked, and he had a home run. So
Yeah.
shout out to Moncada, and shout out to the White Sox for taking 2 out of 4 versus the defending champion Houston Astros. It's still early, Pac-Man. We got a long season in front of us. I'm looking forward to doing this with you as often as possible. Let's keep it going, my guy.
I got you, man. No 50-50 ball, White Sox. No 50-50 ball.
Let's go. And I'm looking forward to both of the teams playing above their potential because they got potential. I want to see them play above it. Y'all make sure y'all like, follow, share. This is Chicago White Sox, Chicago Cubs Central, Chicago Baseball Central on YouTube, or Chicago White Sox, Chicago Cubs Central on YouTube, Spotify, as well as Apple Music and all the other channels that we have with the Chicago Bulls, the Chicago Bears, the Chicago Sky. Keep rocking with the gang, and we're going to rock with y'all next time, man. We see y'all tomorrow for the White Sox home opener. Who the Cubs got tomorrow?
They got the Reds tomorrow. We go to see
Another
Hunter
division.
Green. Yeah,
Another
another division.
division.
Yeah,
Oh,
we can knock them
Lord.
out, though. We can knock them out. Reds out of here.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Peace.